Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my workshop, and welcome to episode 4 of my build for the Jurgen Zoller challenge. Now, if you remember, this is being built in honour of Jurgen Zoller, who sadly passed away earlier in the year, and all his guitar building friends have decided to hold a challenge in his honour. And to support that challenge, we're encouraging people to go off and buy one of these marvellous t-shirts, and I will put the link in the description below. Now then, in this episode, the first thing I need to do is fix a problem that I created for myself last week. Let me explain. I made this central bar that runs from the neck block to the tail block last week, and I made it 12mm deep. Now unfortunately I didn't take account of the depth of the pickups. Now I've done a little bit of research online, and the pickups that I'm using for this bass are about 23mm deep. So that means I'll need to remove about 6mm off the top of that central block. Now then, I carved it all into the tail block last week, if you remember. So I'm going to have to do a bit of jiggery pokery, but I'm going to get on with that now. Well, okay, I fixed that issue, so that's now about 6mm deep, and that will be fine by the time it's added on top of the ash back there, which is again is about, I think it's about 4 or 5mm deep. That should be plenty enough to screw the pickups into, and it's not going to cause us any problems. What I did notice was though that my bandsaw is getting really blunt, and look at that, that really is rather black. So I'm going to see if I can sharpen up that blade a little bit. I use a very fine round diamond file that you get in one of these sets. I mean, this was one of those things that I bought from the middle aisle of a supermarket, and it seems to do the job. And the trick is I'm just cleaning up the teeth. So what I do is I gently push through the teeth, and just to take the sort of detritus off that's collected on the sort of cutting edge there, and hopefully it'll just give it a little bit more bite so that it doesn't burn quite so much. I haven't had a lot of success in sharpening blades to get them like new, but I have had some success in making them cut better. Anyway, I'm going to put this blade back on the machine. Well, I know that's only a thin piece of wood, but this is oak, and it was struggling before, and there's no sign of burn marks on there, so I think that little clean-up was a success. Well, that would have been a fantastic success had I not knocked my Dremel off the workbench when I took the blade off, and I bent my file. Look at that. Luckily, I've got some spares. Oh, what a twit! What a twit! Oh dear. Right, well, with the outskirts of Storm Agnes whipping round outside, I thought I'd grab a couple of hours in the workshop to get on with this guitar. So, let's have a go. It's the body that's causing me a little bit of concern at the moment, and I like to get this all fitted out. So, the first thing I need to do is to fit this into that front section, into the neck block. So let's get on with that. Now I've worked out where the slot needs to be and marked it up with pencil. So I think what I'll do first of all is drill some holes in there and then chisel it out. The central piece that I'm slotting into that is 5mm thick. I think I was aiming at 6mm, but it's gone to 5mm, but that's okay. In fact, it's probably better if it's slightly thinner. I've got a 5mm brad point bit in here, so I think I'll see if I can drill some holes. Now, I'm not particularly accurate when it comes to finding the centre of things, but I'm going to have another go because practice makes perfect. So, if I just mark where the centre line should be in that slot, and that looks like about there, and come to this side, looks about there. Do you know what, I think probably the easiest way to do this is just to run a line between those 2 points with my hand. That looks like it's in the middle. And let's drill some holes. Well, Dave, that's not particularly central, but okay. Of course, what happens is the drill walks. Okay, I think that's given me something to get going with. Got some gloves on because I can't seem to chisel without cutting myself these days. Okay, so I've chiselled in about 15mm, which I think is going to be fine. This is going to be glued in place. So what I need to do now is mark it, and I'll get this tail piece in the right position. Get the centre lined up, the edges lined up, get the centre lined up there. and this red line is where I'm working to, so I'll put a line there, just put this on the top of the template here, and then I should be able to draw a line across. Okay, so this line here is where it'll appear out of the neck block there, so I need to go in 15mm, if I can find 15mm on this, and just put a mark, which I think is going to be where that original line is by the looks of things. Let's have a look. There it is. So if I cut it across there, I don't think we're going to be too far off, you know. This centerpiece is going to be key to holding the sides of the guitar in position, so it's why it's important to get it right. Always a fiddle cutting at an angle, isn't it? Here we go. Just take the edge off there. A bit of sandpaper. Get that in. Obviously, getting it all lined up is going to be really important. We've got the centre line there. Centre line there. It's not quite right. It doesn't feel quite right. But my goodness me, it's not far off. I think I'm just going to take a little bit off the end there. I was watching a YouTuber last night, a woodworker, and he had a fantastic and really simple jig for planing the ends of wood, the end grain. And I think I'm going to make myself one of these jigs because it was absolutely marvellous. I shall put a link to the video in the description below. I apologise because the name of the woodworker completely escapes me. See how that goes. That's pretty close. What's causing me some problems is I've drawn a couple of lines on here which aren't square. They can't be square because they're not square with the centre line, but not quite sure why. Okay, not to worry. Centre line's the important thing. Yeah, just a little bit more. We can get this out. I've been looking at it upside down and it's difficult to see if it's all in line, but that looks pretty good to me. Just line my eye down here. Yeah, got a slight discrepancy there. Yeah, this there is a slight discrepancy here which I need to resolve. Let's get a straight edge. Right, so there, that's the centre line there. Where is it there? In actual fact, I need to take a little bit off this edge. Oh, it's close. It's close. Not close enough. A bit more. It's worth checking there isn't anything holding it up in there. Let's see if we can clean it out a bit better. That's perfect. Perfect. Okay, so put that onto there. Now then, I've got something amiss here and I need to sort it out. So, align the centre up there. Right, so what's wrong is the centre line in this block. That's not exactly right. Now I know what I've done. I've actually marked the centre line on the join of the two bits of wood there, but that's not where the centre line should be. So, I'm just going to rub this out. Now it starts okay at the neck block there, but it's slightly off at this point, so we're looking at a line that's there. It's just about 1 millimetre off. It is really important to get these centre lines absolutely spot on. Otherwise you end up with a whole load of trouble at the end. So that needs to be there. So let's mark that. And I'll mark it on the ends as well. And so now let's draw that new centre line in. And I will go through to the other side. Okay, let's try again. So that's the centre line there. Line it up at the front, line it up at the back. Yeah, we're still going off. I think this centrepiece needs to move towards the up about more. And that's my problem. So let's just fix that problem. Just going to take a couple of shavings off this top corner here. Okay, I've made some minor adjustments. I took a bit off the top edge of this central piece, but I also chiselled out a little bit more of the recess there, and now I can get it so that it is dead center there, which is pretty good. That's what I want. So I think the next thing to do is to glue this all up. But, and there's always a but, before I commit myself to the glue, I just want to look at something, and that is this piece here. Now the ribs are going to join in. Now this piece of wood is just a scrap piece of wood, so but it'll just give me an idea. It's the same thickness as the I'm talking myself out of this. I need to go and get the real piece, don't I? This is the piece that's going to be joined in at this point. He says, noticing a big split in the side there, which renders this piece completely useless. Okay. Okie doke. Right. Nevertheless, let's just have a look at this. The idea is that this piece will join somewhere like that, and the thickness of this piece is it's 3 mil. So just wondering whether I should do myself a favour and get rid of this really delicate piece here and cut it back to the point where it's 3 mil thick. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that, because as you can see this is breaking anyway. So if I draw a pencil line on the back here, we can see the point at which we hit 3 mil just from that point onwards there. So I could cut that across there without doing too much damage. Now when I actually come to fit the ribs, I'm obviously going to take the ribs, these side pieces here, in a little bit, probably to about there. So there's a piece of material behind it supporting it. And then so the join will be somewhere around there, perhaps a bit further on. But I don't think I need this little piece here, and it'll be easier to cut it off now rather than try and cut it off when it's glued up. Let's do it. Of course, it helps if you've got a pencil lead. Also helps to get the angle right. I actually don't think that's going to matter at this stage, so I'm just going to cut that flush. Okay, I think I'll glue this end first, and then I'll glue this tail piece. Now, I've got a little piece of scrap wood here, which I'll just put underneath there, because this will be raised up on the ash at the back. So I know it may not make any difference, but I think it's worthwhile doing. So I've drawn a line where it has to go into. So let's take this out. It's just going to be a question of putting some glue on this and hoping, to be honest with you, that it grips. I think it should. This is pretty strong stuff, this glue. So let's give it a good wipe around. Right, now then, this is where we get everything lined up. Straight edge. Okay. So we're on the centre line. We're on the centre line. Not quite square. It's not quite there. I think that will do. Okay, we'll leave that to cure. I'd like to thank everybody who commented about the wood bending in the last video and gave me some great tips there, and one of them being that perhaps I should have soaked the wood either in water or some other chemical before trying to bend it. I think one of the chemicals was ammonia. I'm not particularly keen on doing that. I think the bending iron is the way forward, and it just takes a little bit of time to do it. But obviously I've got a problem in that is split. This was the piece for the lower part of the guitar, and that's not going to be any good. This piece for the upper part of the guitar was reasonably okay, so I thought, till I spotted a couple of tear outs there. So I've got another piece of mahogany here, and I just wonder if I cut it a slightly different way. So take a strip out of this, if I'm going to have some more, well, better luck than I had with these. Now this wood is, so I think I've said, it's reclaimed. It's from an old fireplace, so it's dried out over many years, and that might be one of the problems. So perhaps I do need to soak it, and perhaps I'll soak it in water before I try and bend it next time. But in the meantime, I'm going to cut myself some slices of this. Ready to start again. That's my new sharpened blade. That's pretty good. That worked pretty well. Okay, so now I need some, well, probably about 4.5mm slices from this. Might as well do them 5mm, and then we can trim them down actually. Well, that blade raced through those, and I haven't got any burn marks. Obviously that's the varnish. That looks really good. So I'll just run them through the thicknesser, just take them down a little bit. These are hopefully 5mm if my measurements are right. Look at that, 5mm, yeah, exactly. So I can take a little bit off those. Then I'm going to soak these overnight before I bend them. Well, good morning. Now then, as you can see, I've got the bending iron set up down this end of the workshop. I've got the former in a vise down that end, and I've got 3 pieces of very wet wood that's soaked overnight. And I've also made myself this aluminium strip, which I'm hoping I can bind around the outside of the wood to stop it from splitting. So, without further ado, let's get back to bending. Now I really am going to take this very slowly this time, and we'll just see if we can bend this wood without it splitting. Hopefully, because it's soaked for so long, the sort of grains will be rather supple, but here we are. We'll find out. Straight away I'm starting to get a split. Okay, let's move up a bit. Move up a bit. It's a split on the inside. Actually, that might not matter. Well, I didn't bore you with another hour of wood bending because, well, it drives you all crazy. But unfortunately, I obviously didn't get the memo that said whatever you do, don't try and bend mahogany, because it's split again. And I've tried 2 pieces of wood, and as you can see in this close-up, it's just split. I think the grains of mahogany are just too short, and well, it doesn't like being bent. So I had a couple of strips of what is either maple or sycamore, and I've had a go at that, and that did bend. And I've strapped that up on one side of this former. So I'm going to have a go and try and bend the other side and see if I can strap the 2 up together and leave them to set into place. My issue with the woods is this has got to join up with mahogany, and so it either needed to be mahogany or it needed to be something that was in a contrasting colour to mahogany, which is why I'm going to have to go for a lighter wood. Now I know that might create a problem with the back of the guitar, because the back of the guitar is the ash, but what I'm thinking is I might be able to get round that with some binding, but we'll see when we start to put it together. But there's no doubt about it, this wood bends far more easily than mahogany, which fundamentally, well, in my experience, doesn't bend. But there we go. We've learnt a lesson. We've learnt our lesson. There we go, look at that. Well, there's nothing I can do with the ribs now. I've just got to let them set into place. So I think I'll glue the other half of this middle section. Oh, I do apologise for all the wonky centerline stuff yesterday. I mean, it took ages to sort that out. But anyway, you've just got to get it right. So now all I'm doing is gluing this tail piece on, and that should just come off from there. And shouldn't be any problems with centre lines with this thing, because it's quite a tight fit. So let's get it glued up. I put a bit too much glue on that. I don't think there's any point in clamping that. just have to leave it to set as it is. And that's okay, and that's okay. And we're all centre lined up, all true. Magic. Well, it's slow, but I feel like I'm making progress. Once I've got this body sorted out, I think the guitar's going to come together relatively quickly, although I haven't even thought about the neck yet. Oh, well, plenty to keep us busy. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for all your fantastic comments. They are so useful, as you can see. I do take everything on board that you tell me. And so please keep watching this series. And please don't forget to support the leukemia charity. Right. Okay, well, I'll see you soon. In the meantime, stay safe. Cheers.